May 8th, 2024. This is the S&P 500 E-futures mini on the 2000 tick chart using NinjaTrader 8. There was no economic data that came out today to really move the markets, and overall price action looked like it stayed within from the extremes. It's a high and low of about 30 points, and price action and volatility was really low today, but I did see a couple of setups, and I took one trade and I was green on it, but then pretty much it was a very, very slow day. Price action was really slow. It just took forever for candles to print. So this is what I thought I saw today. It's kind of the pre-market had a big sell-off, then it had this very gradual rally, which had these multiple legs inside this measured move here. Then it had kind of a small little sell-off consolidation area, and this is kind of where I said it was like 50 minutes of paint drawing because this is really, really slow price action. Then it kind of a choppy purple leg down, this purple channel here, then another two legs up and into the close. So it was rather uneventful. And this is the third day in a row that price action and trading have been really slow on the ES. So I did start looking at the NQ, but I don't know if I'll make a video on that. I'm just going to go through the trade that I saw here as well as the setups that I saw. So this is a pre-market. It looked like it was in a range initially, carry over from yesterday, and then it sold off. Then prices looked like it found a bottom, started consolidating, and it started trading on the open. The first trade that I saw is this new high. It's a first entry long pullback. It creates a second entry long here. So second entry long, it's a bounce off this possible lower trading range. Now, I didn't have this final red channel drawn initially. I actually had something closer to this. This also fit pretty well. In any case, whether you had the red one or the green one, I had the green one initially. It's a bounce off, and I like that. I thought there was enough room to the highs. So I like that the signal bar of this one was also bullish, but it is an inside bar. It's not as big a deal because everything is going for you. And there's a break of this green down channel. Overshoot here, made one attempt down, another bigger second attempt down, and now it looks like it's kind of reversing. So I thought this was a possible trade. I hesitated and I thought, well, you know, after this one printed, if it provides me a higher low that also closes above, then I jump on it. Fortunately, it doesn't. It just kind of runs away without you. You could say this is a higher low, but this higher low isn't as appealing now as this initial setup because this one was a bounce off the, at the time, green up channel because the red one doesn't exist yet. And this trade doesn't feel as nice or as optimistic as this one because I'm already pretty close to the highs, much closer than I was here. And here, it had a close above the EMA and it had a nice bounce off this green up channel. Prices then continue moving. So keep in mind, I was playing this green channel at the time. Prices look like they're working pretty well. There's a slight overshoot here. Nothing particularly good. So now there's a second overshoot here. There's one break above, a second break. I was debating whether to increase the size or take the resistance up, but I like that it touched here and here initially a lot better than trying to make the far ends match. I was still playing the green channel. The first entry long, you technically got a second entry long, but I don't like that it's a doji as a signal bar. So you wait for the second bar, it's also another doji, which leaves me more cautious. Then the third bar is another doji, and it's also a bearish looking doji. So that kind of made me just say, okay, there's no trade here. Just wait for this price action to clear itself up. It breaks out. So now, at the time when I was playing this green up channel, I saw an overshoot here and overshoot. It breaks out and creates a matching overshoot. I started to look for other channels, and I eventually settled on this red one. It kind of cut through. It didn't really take the low pick, the very low. It kind of touched the body, but it was able to include this fourth touch, and it still had a reasonably good confirmation here. So I was thinking maybe I'm in this larger red up channel. It looked like it fit pretty nice. And it also looked like prices were moving up this orange sub channel right here. And at this time, I was kind of abandoning the idea of continuing to play on this green channel because it just didn't fit super duper well. But I did like there was double confirmation here, whether you took the green channel or the red channel. It is a new low, first entry short though. And then you kind of don't have a second entry short, but you have a bounce here. Unfortunately, there was no setup here. Now, as it coming up, the green channel still fit kind of well, but it still had this overshoot here, and overshoot here. It's coming up and it breaks out. So at this point, I'm just thinking, okay, I need to get rid of this green channel and just play the red one. So it looked like it was one leg up, pull back, second leg up, and I'm looking for a measured move because it's also getting close to the pre-market highs. So I'm thinking there's going to be some kind of price reaction here. This is a new low first entry short, and then there's actually a lower high here. Now, actually, when I saw this, I liked this setup pretty well because as I was playing this red up channel, I was thinking, could it possibly be another channel here, this new green channel? Now, I saw this as a lower high. It breaks of this yellow up channel. It's an overshoot of this red channel. And I thought, okay, this overshoot of this red channel made one attempt up and it looks like it's about to fail. So I kind of went off of, I don't know if it's necessarily the cleanest setup. It's more experience that I saw something like this happen. And I thought there is a decent potential trade here. This candle is only 5 ticks, so I thought the risk was worth it. It's getting a rejection off the pre-market highs. I'm thinking this failed breakout of this red up channel could see prices come back down, at least test the low end and maybe break out the other side. So I entered 1 tick below and I quickly got a scalp. And I also had enough room before I hit the EMA. Now, I saw the second entry long. So in the case that you're playing just the red channel, I wouldn't take the second entry long because you had an overshoot and make 2 attempts or just this one leg down, make 1 attempt and then continue back down. So you could get trapped here. It didn't quite touch the EMA, so there's no clear bounce. But it is a possible trade if you played this channel, this green one here, where it looks like it's kind of an overlapping channel, this red one and maybe starting of this green one. In this case, you don't have an overshoot. You kind of have a rejection off the top here. And I could see an argument being made of first entry long, second entry long, bounce off this supporting green channel going up. The size of this is only a 6 tick bar. And you could make the case that there's a trade here, and it could make 1 attempt up and a second attempt up to test the highs of this yellow one. Now, I didn't want to take this trade just because I wasn't confident on whether this red one is the dominating one or this green one. And you did have this measured move. It's coming back from measured move. There's an EMA potential bounce. It's a little bit off of it though. So you could make a case, that you should take the trade, and you could make a case that it's a little ambiguous. So for me, I thought it was a little ambiguous, but it would have worked out. But of course, you don't know that at the time, so it doesn't really matter. And it was better that in this case, I didn't take the trade because I just wasn't 100% confident on the read. Prices then continue moving down, breaks out of this red channel. It was in this green channel, and it's just getting a little bit choppy, a little bit messy. I see a new low, potential support right here. You could argue for a triple test, but there's no clean setup to take an entry long. I saw a new low, first entry short, potentially a second entry short. Now, this second entry short, I thought was kind of like an almost setup. It's a break of this green down channel. I made 1 attempt down, potential second attempt down. This second entry short technically completed, above the EMA. I would rather it had stayed below the EMA, and I wasn't sure if it could reverse and continue back into this red up channel because the previous market buys had been very, very pretty much a big rally up, even though it's pretty shallow, not pretty shallow, but it is more shallow than what I like. So I could see, there's some conflicting variables. I wasn't too sure, but I did like this close below. So I could see that, if this was signal bar had just been bearish and closed below the EMA, then I think I would have had my trade ready and probably jumped on this candle. But it comes down, it reverses back up. If you stayed for longer than maybe 1 point, I think this candle would have stopped you out. So this is more of a tricky setup, an almost trade. And I'm kind of happy that I just didn't decide to take it. But it kind of falls into this consolidation, and this blue range is a good solid 50 minutes. And I call it 50 minutes of watching paint dry because it was just taking forever for these candles to form. They're creating pretty much piano keys where it's one big leg up, one big leg down. Look at the bodies of these. So there's just it's a big tug of war. You don't really know who's winning when you watch this in real time. It's like, oh, it kind of pushed back up, pushed back down. You do have a range, but this range is only about three, three to almost 4 points. And to even get a 1 point scalp when the bodies are so huge, it just feels very risky and dicey. Prices move up. I did find this purple downtrend, and I wasn't really sure it was a channel yet, but I did mark it as this at the time. It breaks out. So now I see some movement. I see a confirmation one touch, two touch, which is good. You have a first entry short, pull back. You technically have a second entry short. I wouldn't have gotten ready for a short trade here because even though it's a break of the yellow up channel and tested and made a new high, this is a very bullish bar. And to get a second entry short is on the wrong side of the EMA. But you do get a confirmation second entry short here. But unfortunately, the trade's already been completed because in this case, I would have waited for this candle to complete to confirm I have a clean second entry and it closed below the EMA. So definitely, unfortunately, there was no trade that I saw here. Then this creates a lower high. I thought this is actually a possible trade because you have a first entry short, second entry short, confirmation of second entry short. I like that this lower high picked one above this previous bar, then flushed and engulfed it. So I didn't take the trade, but in hindsight, I think I would have tried to enter one tick below this green bar on this next candle to ensure, it ticked one tick below, made this double bottom, and then ideally picks me up and flushes down. So it looks like it would have picked me up here, and it looks like it would have probably given me a 1 point scalp. Maybe, maybe not. But then this one definitely would have given it to you. Then prices continue moving. It's falling into this purple down channel pretty nicely now. There's a first entry long, technically you have a second entry long here. It's a bad signal bar below the EMA. It didn't even bounce off the bottom of this purple, so it feels ambiguous. Ideally want to see this come all the way down, bounce off of here, and have a stronger close. Then you would have a confirmed touch to bottom, touch to the top. Prices are likely moving back up to the top. But here, it's a little early. You technically have a lower high here, but it's the same reason I don't like this setup. It's below the EMA. This signal bar isn't the best. You don't really have a confirmed lower high yet. Here you get a lower high, but by the time this candle closes, you're too close to this proven resistance on this purple down channel. You don't know that it's going to break through like this and keep going. So it's better to have stayed out of this potential entry. Prices then continue moving up on this orange up channel. There's no clean second entries here. You do have a new low here, new localized low, first entry short, but you're still potentially inside this orange up channel. You do have a second entry short confirmed here, so it's a new low, first entry short, second entry short. It's a decent signal bar. Unfortunately, it's right at the EMA. I don't like trying to scalp out because this could act as a potential support. So I didn't think there was a short trade here. You do have a new high here, first entry long, second entry long. This signal bar isn't a very good signal bar, so nothing here, when you see this in real time, is telling you to go long. Then when this forms, you still don't think to go long because this is just one candle. It can still psych you out, push down. You do have a new low here, first entry short, second entry short failure. It closed above the EMA, but I don't really like this setup because it's a break overshoot of this yellow down channel, and it kind of made a matching one. So I could see the case of it coming right back down. So in order to take a failed second entry short, I want to see a higher low above the EMA confirmation, preferably in the next two candles. But you don't get that. So the higher low never shows up till about right here. And by that time, this is just too far from the price action. Hops around, kind of moves up on this pinkish up channel. No clean setups. There is a quadruple touch or triple test, 1, 2, 3, but nothing here is telling me to go short yet. You do have a first entry long, second entry long. Unfortunately, this wasn't a good signal bar, and you're already into the last 10 minutes of the day. So this is already, since there weren't very many candles printed today, if you just looked at this chart and you kind of went bar by bar like I did, you would find out really quickly you're hitting to the end of the day. Now, it wasn't that the day was faster, it's just there weren't many candles printed on a 2000 tick chart. So there weren't there weren't as many opportunities to try to find a trade because there just weren't as many bars setting up because there weren't as many bars being printed. So overall, I took my one trade. I'm pretty happy it was a green one because it was a pretty long dry spell for the last, well, I didn't take any trades yesterday and the day before. So it was nice to have the first trade, my one trade, to be profitable. And I'm rather content that I didn't take any further trades because it turned out to be a really, really slow day. And I didn't try to force any trades here. So hopefully that was helpful.